Today I am going to be showing y'all how to do a grapevine wreath. Super simple. I've just had a lot of people who have asked to show them how to, or ask me, why are you not doing wreaths anymore? And it's true, I haven't done a wreath tutorial in quite a while. And the reason for that is that I have really gotten into furniture refinishing and painting. And I am the Dixie Belle Paint premier retailer for our area. And so I've really concentrated a lot on painting furniture, and that takes a lot of time. Plus, I am also in one of the downtown stores here in our little tiny town called Deering's General Store, and I've got a whole ton of merchandise in there. And I work in the store. I run the store Wednesday through Saturday when we're not in quarantine. And so it just doesn't leave a lot of time for me to do a lot of whether I'm doing lives or doing videos that I film and then edit and then post. It's really been a drain on my time. But I appreciate all you guys. Muskogee, Oklahoma. Hi there. And Norfolk, Virginia. I hope y'all are all well. I know it's a really weird time. I can't, I mean, I'm 55 years old and I cannot remember a time in our lives when things have been what they are right now as far as this scare of the coronavirus, illnesses. We're very blessed here. Nobody in my town has contracted it. Only one person in my county has. But of course, we're super small here. I always laugh and say that we live in Hooterville. We're a super small town, but still, it's scary. And I know that everybody or so many people are basically shut in. If the stores aren't open, I'm not working in my store. I'm not doing anything like that because of the shutdown. Even our tiny town has been shut down. So wherever you are, I hope everyone is well. And if anyone in your families have contracted the coronavirus, I hope everybody has recovered or is recovering well. That's really my hope for y'all and for the country. Keep the faith. We're going to be okay. We're just going to have to bounce back from this. But if you're on, your home quarantine, I keep saying we're under house arrest. If that's true for y'all, I hope that you're finding things to fill your time, and maybe if you have, sometimes, I don't know, even if you're like me, even before I started doing this sort of for a living, I would hoard materials. I would have grapevine wreaths, I'd catch them on sale, and or you could even order online. There is a lot of places where you can get online. I see Faye saying that Virginia's on lockdown. Yeah, we're shelter in place. We're not locked down. We can go pick up food from restaurants and things like that, but I can't open my store. They're being real picky about that. I think they don't even want you to have family gatherings of over 10 people, things like that. It's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never experienced anything like this, and that's the more scary than the disease is the reaction and what we're having to do because of that. It makes me very nervous. Well, and I did see the president yesterday. Well, and I see the June 1st. I think June 1st is kind of like the last resort. I think he wants us to at least be on lockdown at the end of April. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things are going to start getting better and they're going to find a treatment and we're going to get back to normal. It's a very scary time for everybody. Everybody's got to have jobs and we all have to have our income coming in. So we just really do need to, try to just do the best we can, try to be positive. And one thing I always say, I got into doing all of this wreath making and sharing crafts when we lost my son-in-law back in 2013. He passed away with colon cancer at 27. And I realized at that time, we need to get busy doing something. We need to do something that's going to make us feel good and make us try to make the world a more beautiful place. You know, never's been a better time than right now when everybody is so and nervous about what's going on. So hopefully this will be helpful. Grapevine Wreaths, I love them. I love doing them. I'm going to move. I'm doing this from my webcam, so hopefully you'll be able to see everything okay. This is just normally I do a little bit better production as far as with the nice camera and things like that. But we've been really technically challenged because everybody's at home, everybody's working from home, so our bandwidth has really taken a hit. And so I'm just really using my laptop camera to do this today. But anyway, I love grapevine wreaths because they're naturally beautiful. You know, they already look nice. You don't have to do very much to a grapevine wreath to get it on your door quickly and it looking beautiful. So that's one reason I love them. You can order these. I'll have some links. As soon as this live is over, I'll put some links in the description where you can grab some grapevine wreaths. This wreath is big. It's a 24, basically 24-inch round. Of course, none of them are perfectly round. And that's the thing about the grapevine wreaths too. You kind of have to look at it and decide what, how you want it to go. Do you want it the thick end at the bottom? Do you want it on a side where your flowers are going to go? Because they're rarely ever super even. So you have to kind of be aware of that and realize they're not going to be perfect. But like I said, this one's big. It's a 24-inch round grapevine wreath, and so it that's pretty substantial. I think you can usually, I think an 18-inch. I'm not sure what sizes they come. Maybe 18, 20 would be plenty big. But like I said, they're so beautiful to start with. It takes very little to add to them to make them even better. While we're talking about that, I'm going to look at this and try to decide where. I think mostly I want my circle to be, sort of even looking. And that means I'm going to have this fat end on this side. And that's my flowers. I'm going to do like halfway around with flowers. I don't ever, and you can go all the way around. They make gorgeous wreaths. I'm telling you, you go all the way around. It's beautiful. But this wreath is so big, it would take a lot of materials to do that. And so that's why I just kind of go on one side, and then on the other side, a lot of times, I've seen people put their address, instead of just like I'm 200. That's my street number. I could put 200 on here. I've seen a lot of people do them like that. Usually, I've seen the monograms, the little wood monograms. I've got one like that. I've got a tutorial on YouTube that is that's that. I see that the Mean Man has joined from his office. Hey, Mean Man, if you can link this on Facebook so people on Facebook can come over and watch, that would be great. I could not figure out how to get that done. But anyway, so for this one, I've got a couple of little signs. I'm not sure if I'm going to use one of them or both. No, I'm definitely not going to use both, but one or the other. One is a little bit bigger, and I don't think that I would like it on the side. This is so much, it's so wide. I might think that should go, at the bottom because it's so wide. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to use that. I love those colors, but I also love this little metal sign too. But this I could put on the side, I think. And so, I mean, I guess honestly, you could hang it from the middle as well. And like I've said, you don't have to do very much. This wreath is already pretty. So, I don't know. It's just really your preference. Those of you who saw the live that got published, I guess yesterday, I did not know that video was going to publish. It was fraught with technical difficulties. It was terrible, as a matter of fact. And I didn't even realize that we had gone out on YouTube. And until about midnight last night, I was very upset when it didn't work because we've had a lot of technical problems. I was crying, and I don't really necessarily cry. I was just so frustrated. And then last night I realized, oh my God, that terrible video with all the sound trouble went out uh, on YouTube, and I did not even know. And I had somebody unsubscribe. They were real upset, apparently, that I didn't have a good quality video, and and they let me know that and unsubscribed. That was kind of disappointing. That it wasn't my fault, and I didn't even know. But I appreciate all y'all who stick with us on these on my YouTube. I just I need y'all. There's no me without y'all, and I'm glad that y'all get me. For the most part, people do get me. Those signs are very cute. These I got. You know what? I'm going to tell y'all a good place to get signs like this is Big Lots. I'm not an affiliate of Big Lots. I don't get any money if you shop at Big Lots. But at the end of the season, they put everything on super sale. And so I always try to look on their clearance racks. And then, like I said, I kind of hoard stuff. I've got a supply of signs and letters and ribbon and stuff I may never ever use, but it's there just because, when it goes on super sale, 50% off, you got me. I mean, I will take a 50% off sale. The flowers, now see that's another thing. I buy a lot of my flowers at the hobby stores, the craft stores, Michael's, and I do it at the end of the season. When I see that when Christmas is over, I look at what's available on their 75% off racks. Of course, Hobby Lobby, they're really good about putting their flowers on at 50% off. And I do buy a lot of things from there. And I also have a couple of wholesale places that I purchase from since I am a dealer. I will buy some flowers wholesale also. Oh, Joanne. Joanne is a really good, Joanne Fabrics is a really good place to get flowers, and they have coupons and they go on sale, and I just love to be able to get stuff at a bargain. I do have a wholesale place that I have gone before. It's in Louisiana. Of course, I'm here in Texas, and I've bought a ton. I'm telling you, I've got a room full of flowers that I just gather up whenever I find them. I most specifically look for hydrangeas. That's kind of my go-to flower. I love them in my garden. I've got hydrangeas. My hydrangeas are coming back. I see that they're leafing out right now. I mean, I've got some hydrangeas out in the front of my house that'll be as big as your head. They're fabulous. I just love hydrangeas, and I love these big ones because they take up a lot of room on your wreath. You don't have to have you don't have to buy a ton because silk flowers, they're expensive. They can be really pricey, and I'm cheap. I like to yeah. Somebody's saying Hobby Lobby. Thanks, Mary. Yeah, I love Hobby Lobby because every other week they're going to be 50% off their flowers because you know how they run their specials. Everything goes 50% off every other week. You just have to catch it at the right time. So that's what I do. I just encourage you to grab the flowers as you can find them, and I'll have some links on here too in the description of a lot of the stuff that I have here. So maybe it'll be helpful for y'all. On the wreath itself, when you're doing one of these floral wreaths, I like to go ahead and I put some filler in first. And when you're doing your wreaths, a couple things that you'll need. Floral wire is one of them. I buy spools of floral wire because I love to be able to just wire stuff in to my wreaths. Unfortunately, since we bought this a 1901 Victorian house 2 years ago. I had put a craft room upstairs of that house, and then I had a studio. The mean man got me a studio, and since it's been delivered, we've kind of been moving stuff down here. Plus, I also work at my store. I do make wreaths at the store, and somewhere between here, the second floor, the store. I can't find my floral wire. So I also have a good supply of zip ties. Zip ties work great. And these are, I've got, I mean, these just run all different sizes. The different colors are different sizes. You just have to be able to hide them. That's one thing I love about floral wire. You don't have to hide it so much. It just, you can just wrap it around and it disappears because you've got so much greenery. But for what we're doing, I think we're going to be okay with zip ties. It's not, this is not going to be a super duper full wreath. Um, when I start my wreaths, I start with the filler first. I don't just, unless I'm going straight, just flowers and some leaves, which you can do, which makes for a really quick, easy wreath. If I'm doing that, it, then I don't worry so much about filling in. But I do, you know, when I'm doing this wreath, I'm going to go and I really want to be sure I keep sort of this oval, you know, where it should be. I don't want it to be too out of whack. But I'll just start, you know, from here and I'll go around to about right here. So I'm going to leave one side open. And so, you know, I'll start filling in and really I just have, I've got a lot of, I don't even know what you would call this, no idea. Um, just filler. It's just greenery, and that's what I look for. Is just some greenery that I can kind of stick in, and I sort of piece it in first, so I can get a feel for how it's going to look. I do have a glue gun. I usually use a glue pot, um, where it melts in like a little skillet, and I really like that, but it gets so hot you have to have a tile under it. And when I brought the skillet down here from my craft room in the house, I did not bring a little ceramic tile that I like to sit it on. So I'm just using my glue gun for some elements. You know, you can always glue them in, but when you're, you know, be sure you're using a good glue gun with good glue, um, because it's you don't want stuff falling off. You know. And I'm telling you, if you wire it in or zip tie it in, you don't have to worry about that so much. I've got a wreath in on my kitchen door that, for whatever reason, the little suction cup keeps letting go, and that wreath is on the floor. That wreath has smashed down to the floor so many times, but all of the flowers and stuff are still on it because I used um, a good zip tie or whatever. I'm going to move this down a little bit more because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here and not necessarily so much me. Right now I'm kind of eyeballing this. I want to kind of get a feel for how, you know, things are going to look. And so I'm just sticking stuff in here. Yeah, let me move this. I can't zoom in and stuff like that because, like I said, I'm just using my laptop like we're doing a webinar or something. Um, and I'm just cutting these off to where I get the whole three-prong situation, you know, where I get enough of the flowers where they can kind of be spread around a little bit. And I'm just sticking them in. Let's see here. I'm just sticking them in, getting a feel for how this will look. And then the hydrangeas, that they come with big leaves. You know, there's lots of leaves, big leaves to fill in. And so that's another thing I like about them also. And you want it kind of you know, layered in where you've got stuff that's going in different directions. Really, you're just trying to build some visual interest, and you want it to be even, you know, around while you're doing it. So one more of these, I think. So I've got such big flowers, I don't need a whole lot of filler, but I can see I need some coming on the inside. I mean, and you don't want it to be like, you know, crazy days where you just have wild and crazy plants and filler going everywhere. But I mean, the more you work with it, you can, at the end, once you get everything in there, you can trim stuff off. Um, and so you can see, I've got at the top and at the bottom of the wreath, I've got some greenery in there. And I may need it to be a little, you know what, I want this to come a little bit more around. And this is why I haven't glued anything in yet, because you don't know, how everything's going to be. And this one, I've got some great big, um, the grapevine is really big, so I'm tucking under that. And I don't want it to all be even on the end, but then again, I don't want it flying up really high in the air either. So, and most of the time, these plants they're wired. There's a wire that runs through them. That's why you saw me using a wire cutter when I was cutting them away from the branch. And, okay, I think that's kind of getting us kind of where we want to be. Look at it this way. Yeah, I think that's good. And then if I want, let's see, I've got some smaller flowers. Now, if once you get your first element in, where you want it, I could go ahead and grab some really tiny zip ties. Thought I had some even smaller than the yellow. Let's see. Nope, the yellows are pretty small. You hope that your zip ties aren't just really glaring as far as the color goes, but I mean, I've got a whole variety of colors here. And so you just have to do the best you can to hide it whenever you're doing your wreath. Of course, normally I would be a little bit worried about messing my nails up and stuff, but of course, I can't mess my nails up because I can't get my nails done. So they're the worst. And today was my hair appointment day. So I'm so sad that I couldn't get my hair done. Let's see, where are those little watercolors? I'm going to go ahead and snip off the ends of the zip ties. Now, when you're doing that, when you're trimming off your zip ties, this leaves kind of a sharp edge. And so be sure, and I kind of try to move it down to where I'm not going to scratch myself, or especially if you're making your wreaths to sell, you want to be sure that you don't have any sharp edges or things where people can hurt themselves or anything like that. But you really do want to have all of the elements secure to your wreath, especially if you're selling. You want people to understand that they are getting really good quality. And Mary, I am with you. I struggle with where to place things too. To me, it's like floral arranging, and I'm just not good at that. If I buy a bouquet at the grocery store, it generally just goes in the vase exactly like I got it, even though looking at it, I can tell it really needs some help, but it is hard for me to get those flowers arranged in a way that makes sense and is symmetrical and all of those things too. I'm really bad at it. But the cool thing about doing these wreaths, for me, there's a lot of do a thing, step back, look at it, reevaluate, redo, remove stuff, add stuff, trim stuff. Um, it's never, anytime I do a wreath, or really if I paint a piece of furniture or whatever, it's never done when I get done. There's always going to be some extra steps, because until you, see it on a door or see it in an environment or whatever, you're never really, for me anyway, I don't ever really feel like I'm done with it until I have a chance to evaluate it later. And so it's always a challenge. I mean, it is absolutely a challenge. for me too. So you're definitely not alone. And no matter how creative you are, no matter how good you are, that can be a, it can be a struggle, and honestly, I look at a lot of stuff on Pinterest. I post a ton of stuff on Pinterest, and oh, Trisha, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you joined. But yeah, I post a lot of stuff on Pinterest, but I go to Pinterest, that is, yeah, I get a ton of ideas, from Pinterest. And I think really all of art really, I mean, seriously, even from the beginning of time, and I'm talking about even fine art, um, we all borrow from each other. We just do. Everything we do is a variation off of what somebody else has done for the most part. And so that's why I post stuff to Pinterest. I want to give as many ideas as I take from there. I think that's why most people do post to Pinterest. Of course, a ton of people are selling stuff too, but they post to Pinterest because they like sharing and trading ideas. And I don't necessarily ever try to totally copy something that I see on Pinterest, but there's lots of times that I have seen something and I have just taken it and put my own spin on it. And I know others have done that with stuff that I put on there too, which is great, because really what imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Um, if people didn't want you taking from their ideas, they wouldn't share them on there. Um, you know, unless they're just selling a product, which and I know they do that, but I don't see too terribly much of that. Okay, so now I've got these things secured, and in the next level, I've got some, I don't know what kind of flowers these are supposed to be. I'm terrible at identifying flowers. I love them, but I don't know what these are supposed to be. But they're these kind of cool, a little bit of color. It's subtle. It's not too bright. Um, and there's a few little groupings, and I'm not doing a ton of these. I'm just doing a little bit. That's why you need a good pair of wire cutters. The mean man has always make sure I've got some decent tools that I can work with. And then the same thing you're going to do here, we're going to just place them top and bottom. These are a little unwieldy, but we're going to, this is not the end. We'll fix, well, this one is really going crazy. Huh? It's almost, I think I'm going to end up having to glue that one stem down. I'm going to go ahead and go under this big sort of vine that's here. And I'm not going to take the time to permanently secure all of these things, because I know that while most of us are home with not much to do, you don't want to just spend, 2 hours watching me do this. And so I'm not going to, I'm just showing you kind of the overview of doing a wreath like this. And it's simple. It really is. Okay, so far, I don't think I'm going to put these pink ones in. So far, this is what we've got. And it's all, like I said, it's already pretty. I mean, you could put, a couple of bows in here, and you'd have something that's fairly fantastic. Let me move this back a little bit. The hard thing about doing this without a regular camera is, like I said, I can't zoom, I can't back out, but I can open and close my laptop a little bit. And you can see so far, I mean, this hasn't been difficult. We haven't done anything that was majorly difficult or intricate or anything like that. So now I'm going to start thinking about my flowers. And when I cut these, because these hydrangeas, they come with all of these little branches. I mean, I have been known, and I've got some here where I cut them apart, you know, these little pieces, and then I'll fill in areas where I need to fill in to make some look bigger than others. But so for where we are right now, I've still got this all connected to the big stem. And so, and it's going to be deeper than the wreath itself, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and I'm literally just going to cram this in here. And see, it's sticking out too far because I want it to be pretty flush. Matter of fact, see, I'm going to, this is a hard one. I'm going to see if I can cut off a little bit more of this. I've got a bigger somewhere. This isn't the ones, but maybe this will work. This stem was uber thick. Most of them come with a little notch because they know you're going to cut those off. And most of them come with a little notch to make it a little bit easier. Okay, I felt it give there. So I'm almost there. I don't know what I did with my bigger wire cutters. Let's see. These are really just pliers, but they've got this sharp area. Come on. And this is several wires together. That's why it's hard to cut. I mean, and that's sharp, so be careful. Don't, you know, scratch yourself or cut yourself when you're doing this. Let's see. Come on, thing. Get in there. And this is very dense, so, okay, I got, probably don't have it in there as far as I want it to go, but it's in there. And then we have to decide, like I said, what do you want to do? These are these are smaller hydrangeas. Again, it's all of the little stems that make it. So I'll go in. A lot of times I'll lay these out first so I get a real game plan. Let's see. That easier said than done. Come on. Oh, see, I just pulled this one apart. It is really wanting to go in. I have managed. There's a little lip. See how it's kind of falling apart. I can make it any way I want it to. Now, when I'm doing this permanently, I would go ahead and dip my ends in my glue pot. So I've got glue on the stem and then force it in. And it goes in pretty well. And I'm literally going to pull these off. Just so you can see what I'm talking about. And these are not fluffing as tall as this green one, which I may pull it apart too now that I'm looking at it. Because it's really sticking through the wreath. There we go. I've got it down inside. It's really sticking out the other end. So I'm sure I will sort of dismantle, not sort of, I will dismantle that one. Ooh, that one really broke off in some tiny pieces. That's not fun. Let's see. Here's one with more. See this green one, the little leaf bunches are letting go too. Stick. And these are, boy, these have all separated out. It's kind of a mess. But I mean, I'm just filling in with these little pieces. I much prefer a nice, big, fluffy hydrangea that I can just stick the whole thing in. It makes it a little bit easier task than what I'm doing here. And be sure, like I said, when you're doing this, you'd need to dip the end into some glue. And so it's really the hydrangea, the grapevine wreath itself and the glue that's holding everything together. Then you'll need to think about whether or not you want a bow. You know, you almost kind of think that a wreath is not complete without a bow. And there we go. So I'll show you where we are right now. So there's a couple. You know, I've got the big green hydrangea here. Now we have to kind of think, what do we want? Are we going to flank it with the green, the great big green hydrangeas top and bottom? Sort of, you know, sticking that in there. So are we going to do that and fill in the middle? Or are we going to take the next green one, put it next, and then fill in some more on top? I mean, we have to kind of think about those kinds of things while you're, you know, while you're in the midst of doing that. See, I have pulled this green one off. You know what? I'm going to pull it out if I can. And we're going to piece it in. Just because of height and everything, I don't want that green hydrangea to be just towering out above the other flowers. I mean, it's a beautiful hydrangea. Oh, Mary, that is so fantastic. I love my Bodabra. I'm telling you, if I have to make a wreath, if I have to make a bow, I'm going to break that Bodabra out 9 times out of 10, just so I can be sure that I've got a bow that is worth, you know, having on something. I'm just not super good at tying bows. And Mary just referenced my Bodabra video, and which that's one of my most popular. It's amazing that that video has been seen 500,000 times. And it's the one I get the most compliments on, and people are so appreciative of me having that out there. It's just such a fun and easy little tool. And I've done some wreaths where it's mostly just bows. I put a ton of bows all over a wreath, and which makes for a beautiful wreath. Okay, I'm hoping that these are going to stay in at least enough for me to give you a reference as to how it will look once you get them glued in. Just be sure, like I said, you want everything to be in there secure, especially if you're selling them. You know, you want your quality to be just without exception. You know, you want to have the quality there. Okay, so now that kind of toned that wreath down a little bit. Still gorgeous, still beautiful, still going in the flow. Everything still looks really nice. I think we can maybe come in with the pink if we wanted to. I'm trying to make sure I don't have any other colors that I think would be appropriate. Go ahead. And I have really robbed from this pink one some ends to do other wreaths clearly. And you can see here there's a notch right here that you can just place the blade of your wire cutter right on that notch. And it generally will break right through. Pull these other little prongs off of here. Like I said, I clearly have used this little thing and pieced it out for several different things, which is fine. Keep all of your pieces. You know, if you take a part of a bouquet or something that you've got, don't throw the rest of it away. You know, even though it looks like it's too small to do anything with, you'd be surprised at how often you can use something as a filler. The good portion of wreaths are filler. Or in this case, you know, I want to make this hydrangea a little bit bigger. So I put those pieces together. Hey, Southern Sass. How pretty is that? I just love hydrangeas. I don't know, y'all. They just they just do something for me. I just love hydrangeas. And and I love that pink. It may not, it may not be um yeah, I think it's okay though, because what I'll do is I'll put another one of these really pretty, still with that sign, these really pretty sort of purple and peach um, sort of modeled together flowers. Oh, I've got one going right here. I need to probably use that first. And I just keep baskets. I've got baskets around that just have bits and pieces of flowers that I've taken off of their stem. Because, I mean, once it gets off the stem, um, the stems are, they can have some super sharp edges because it's wire generally that's inside. And so I tend to take them off of the stems, and I'll pull the leaves off as well, um, because I just, I just don't want to keep those stems and take a chance on, you know, poking myself with them. Um, Trying to look for some bigger intact flowers. Again, remember, if I were doing this and this was the permanent way I was doing it, I would be dipping these ends into some glue before I put them on the wreath. So the wreath, not only is the wreath holding them in, but the glue would be holding them in because you're gluing them to the wreath itself. Um, and I love these colors too. I just love everything about spring. I'm definitely not a winter girl. Um, Clearly I'm not a girl anymore either. I'm not a winter grandma. Um, I like the warmth. I like the sun. I mean, I live for summer. I cannot wait for it to get warm enough to get in the pool. I just am I'm all about spring and summer. And honestly, in my opinion, of course, everybody thinks their place where they live is the best, but there's just nothing like Texas in the spring. Our blue bonnets are out, and if y'all have never seen a field of Texas bluebonnets, you can't even imagine. It's a very big deal around here, and every year my daughter and her husband and my granddaughters come down, and we go out to the biggest bluebonnet fields and we take pictures every single year. That's our tradition, and I'm very just heartbroken. I don't know if it's going to be possible this year with everything that's going on with lockdowns and shelter in place and all of that. It's very heartbreaking because on our way to, where do we go? Oh, we went to Home Depot. Home Depot was open, and I went and got a bunch of new spring flowers for my landscaping. And on the way, the highway that comes up to the little tiny town we live in, it's called 31. Oh my God, the blue bonnets were everywhere, and it was just so wonderful. Um, Now, Texas in the summer is a whole nother thing. Texas in the summer, you, it's rough. I mean, it gets hot, and you really feel it. And you feel it for lots and lots of days. And some days there's just impossible. You cannot cool off. Of course, I still love Texas. Texas is still my jam. Okay, I've added this other um, flower, and I can see, I've got a little weirdness happening from where I have, sort of stuck the hydrangea pieces in, and that's all part of it. You're looking as you're going, and again, this isn't meant to be perfect at this point. We know that we've got a ways to go on getting it. I can just pull those off the way we want it, and I'm sort of dismantling this green one right here. This is what's left of the one that I started with, because I'm going to top it off with this green hydrangea. And I don't have the same stiffness. This is more of just the, I don't know, rubbery, whatever, plastic. And so you might have to kind of open up the grapevine wreath. Of course, if you're using your glue like you would be, you would be able to just glue those in. And I could be doing that right now because really it wouldn't take that much extra time to do that. I just got my fingers crossed that all that's going to stick when we stand it up. And I'm still adding. See, these pink ones are sticking out way too far. This pink one is just really, I mean, come on, honey, you need to settle down. Too much. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut the end of this off a little bit. Now I'm going to stick her back in here, assuming she's a she. Flatten it out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and glue. Just keeps falling out. I'm dropping stuff left and right. There we go. Gluing stuff to my finger. I'm just gluing and sticking. Then I'm going to have to go back through and determine what I didn't glue in the first place. Be sure that when you're doing, working in your craft room or your kitchen table or whatever, protect your surface that you're working on. I've got a quilt mat on my work surface, and that really does protect it. There went my glue gun, because I get stuff all over this thing. Paint, and I'm going to pick the glue gun up. And my studio's not finished. It was an unfinished building that we bought, and we're doing some board and batten on the walls, and the mean man is trying to get stuff done as he can. It's always a challenge, especially when you live in a 120-year-old house, because I guarantee you there is always something that's got to be done around here. There's stuff that is going south all the time, and you really do have to do a ton of repair. I have a Shopify, Mary, right now. I've got a Shopify store. If you go to underatexassky.com, you'll find my Shopify store. But right now, the only thing I have on my Shopify store are my Dixie Belle paints, and I've got some redesign transfers, which I don't know if y'all have ever used those on anything, but they are so fun. And I don't, I have, in my store I carry clothing, and I carry antiques. I carry a huge variety of stuff. I don't know that I would have anything that you could hone in on enough for an Etsy store, but I would definitely just add it to my Shopify store. I thought about trying to find a dealer where I can carry the wreath making materials, wreath forms and things like that. But it'd be hard. It's hard to try to find a place where you can get them wholesale and cheap enough to where I don't have to sell stuff for a huge amount of money. I'm real funny about that. Now some products, like my Dixie Belle products, we're bound by contract on those. Those have to be sold at retail or above, which I don't sell above. But in the clothing in my store and such, I always sell for a little bit under what manufacturer suggested retail is, if they allow it. Because I carry things because I want to sell them. I don't want to keep them. So look, okay. Look at this. This is gorgeous. This is absolutely gorgeous. It doesn't need a whole lot else to consider it sort of done. That's the beauty of the grapevine wreath. I don't think you could get more spring than this. Now, if you wanted to add in, I have other, but this little thing has just lost its little mind. It's got a curve that it's just not wanting to get with the program. Flowers, other kind of springtime flowers. If I wanted to add another, oh yeah, that's pretty. I mean, you really can get carried away. You could be at this all day long. I had a neighbor. My neighbor came over last year, and um, we did a little wreath making together. And I just gave her access to all of my flowers and everything, and told her, just have a ball. And then at one point, I had to leave because I had to go pick my dogs up at the groomers, and nothing's close around here, so I was gone for a little over an hour because it was 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back. And I came back, and she was still in the craft room, just going to town on stuff. And she looked at me and she just said, "You help me stop. I can't stop. I just have to keep adding stuff." So it's real easy to not find that stopping point. Where is the stopping point? When is enough enough? And that's kind of hard. A lot of times with wreaths, it's you. I've said this before. That less is more, but no, is more actually. Then I've got a lot of leaves that are left over from the hydrangeas. You can throw leaves in, and I did not start with leaves, even though that is filler. Um, to me, the leaves are kind of the last thing you want to do because you want to be sure you have all of your other stuff, in there. So here I added, a couple of white flowers, and probably these I need to add. Looking at it, looks like I could probably push one up a little bit closer. I'm just going to pull this off. And I've got a little empty stem here I'm going to cut off. But these leaves looked like they needed to have something a little bit closer to where this flower started. Okay, so there. I mean, that's gorgeous, just like it is. That's very, very beautiful. You don't even really have to put anything over here. But like I said, if you just felt like, hey, this is going on my front door, and you needed something else to go there, and when you're doing this, there's a lot of little bits and pieces that you'll end up having to kind of break off. I mean, it's got a lot of sharp edges. Um, oh, thank you, Sissy. See, I mean, it does look beautiful, and honestly, I mean, y'all just watched me do this and saw how truly easy it is to do. Then I can take this sign and I mean I still had the tag on it from when I bought it last year. If I want to, of course, this is a tricky part. This where y'all can see. Y'all see a little better. There we go. Sorry about the shakiness. If I wanted to put, and this welcome sign has the wire attachment still there. So if I wanted to kind of push that wire under, I just so happen to have a thick branch on this side. Let me move it around where y'all can maybe see a little bit better. There is a thick branch right here, and I slipped that wire under it, and I'm gonna fold that wire down. This is just the wire that came on the sign, actually. And I am twisting it around that branch. Now, now, let's see how we want it to go. We want this to hang down a little. We want it to be straight. So, I don't like, okay, it needs to come this way some. And what I like to do too is I'll find other little things, areas where I can tuck it in. There, see, I just tucked in this, one of the grapevine, whatever these are, these vines, and I just tucked in the corner to where it's going to give me more of a straight hang. And I mean, that basically, I could stop right here. I could basically, this could basically be the end of everything I was going to do. And to me, this just shouts springtime. I'm going to go ahead and glue all the elements in. So, you know, if somebody, because this may end up in my store. And so I'll have to go back and, like I said, glue all the elements in. But beautiful. And I mean, I know I've been on an hour. I know it's a long time, and I knew that it would be. And I may go back in and edit this down because people get real upset about long videos. And so I may go in and edit it down a little bit. But y'all saw me do this start to finish, like an hour, and that was me gabbing the whole time. About this and that. I mean, I didn't even, I wasn't working the whole entire hour. So I'm just saying, you guys can do this. You know, grapevine wreath. This was a 24-inch wreath. Some hydrangeas, some filler flowers, whatever flowers you love. Some filler sort of greenery. And at the craft stores, when they've got all their flowers set up, there are areas where they've got greenery that's like filler. I could add more leaves in here. Now this one, you know, I just stuck up in here. It's not glued in or anything. I could add more leaves. I mean, you can fill these up with flowers until there's barely any opening in the middle, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But that's it, y'all. Okay, so like I said, zip ties, floral wire is a great thing to have. You know, your hot glue, a hot glue pot, a hot glue gun with really good quality hot glue. And so, because you don't want stuff falling off, and you don't want stuff that when it gets hot outside, that hot glue is going to let go. And so get really good quality hot glue, get quality scissors, get some quality wire cutters. Like I said, a variety of zip ties. And every time you see these things, just buy them and put them in a closet. Leave them in the bag if you have to, and put them in a closet. If you have any questions or anything about anything, be sure and ask. Go over to Facebook at Under a Texas Sky. So when you get on Facebook in the little search bar, just search Under a Texas Sky. And like my page, like and follow my page, because I post a ton of stuff on Facebook that I do not put on YouTube. If I'm going to just go live real quick, I'll go to Facebook to do that. I post a ton of pictures on Facebook of the things that I'm working on. So, you know, go over there and like that page. I do have an Instagram, which is under_a_Texas_sky. I don't post there as much, but I'm posting more there. Which is a great place for pictures, because that's what, I mean, to me, that's what Instagram really is all about. And then, like I said, if you're interested in shopping for any Dixie Belle paint or whatever, go to underatexassky.com. There's still a ton of tutorials there. I still try to go on underatexassky.com and post things as often as I can. You know, we got a lot of balls that we're juggling in the air, and so it makes it kind of difficult sometimes. But that's it. Here's your spring grapevine wreath. Super easy. I love you guys. It is my sincere hope that you guys are staying well, staying healthy. Everyone in your family is staying well and staying healthy, and that you're not stressing out too much and not going too stir crazy in your homes. But if you are, order on Amazon. You can order these wreaths and all sorts of things. I'll have tons of links where you can go and order a lot of things, and they'll deliver it to your house. It may take an extra couple of days, but we could be in this situation for a few more weeks. So why not be creating beautiful things while you're in that situation? I appreciate y'all. I love you. I hope that life is going to treat you well. And I guess I'll go for now. And but I'll be back probably within the week. I'll have something else because now I've got the time to do it, and it would just be wrong to not go ahead and do what I have time for. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Blessings. I appreciate you.